All right. So, I don't know how many of you saw the last broadcast, the first one, but the idea was, Sci Fi Channel, Warp Space, we make cool things involving classic sci fi subjects. And I thought it'd be cool to show you how you can model a TIE fighter in 3D. And I'm trying to do it in a way that's just kind of like for people who are new to it. Maybe it's just something they'd like to dip their toe in and see if it's something interesting to them. I'm going to use a simple 3D modeler, and it's called Tinkercad. So I apologize for those who already um, heard this from my first video, but this is just for people who are just tuning in and seeing if this is something of interest. So Tinkercad is a basic 3D modeler. It works in your browser, so you don't have to download it. It costs $0 and cents. It's completely free. It's very powerful. We use it in public schools, and they sometimes use it in college programs. And a lot of professionals I know that make 3D models to print in 3D, they use Tinkercad as one of their modelers. Sometimes they'll model it in another software called Blender, which is more complicated. It's more like what we use in the film and television industry. But they want to make sure they get the scaling right and it's something that they can print. They'll sometimes import it in to Tinkercad and make sure the size is correct, and then they'll export it out after bringing it into Tinkercad and print it using a 3D printer that they either own or that they load up to a third-party 3D printing service like Shapeways or iMaterialize, which I've done myself a few times. So it's very powerful. But it's very simple. And that's partly why I start off, why I teach kids Tinkercad and teenagers, is because the software that I mostly use, like Blender or Autodesk Maya, which is the industry standard, that's what we use to make some of the biggest visual effects films in film and television, are those software packages are extremely complicated and can take a long time to get to know a part of it. You usually have to specialize in it. This is just purely a basic, simple modeler. It's very accurate, but it's very simple. And you basically take simple shapes and you combine them together to make more complicated shapes, which is basically how we learn to draw in art and sculpting and modeling. Is you just learn to break the basic shapes of things down, and then you combine them together to create something more complicated. And I thought a TIE fighter, besides being super cool and a classic trope of Star Wars, is also a very simple shape, and it shows the genius of Ralph McQuarrie and the industrial light and magic modelers, as they basically created something that was really cool, but it's a very simple shape. It's basically a sphere, cylinder, and these planes which just taper on the sides, and they combine it together, and then they add all this cool little detail. So I can show you. So I always have reference, right? And there we go. So with this reference, this is what I look at to see what I need to do to figure out the basic shapes and model it, create them using cubes and rectangles and spheres, and you put them together to create more complex shapes. So right here, the center hub of the TIE fighter, you can see this is basically a hexagonal shape. It's like two of them, and then they stack them on top of each other, and then they went in and they added all these little greeblies, which adds all this extra detail. A lot of it just comes from kit bashed automotive model parts, and it just adds all this little detail, makes it look more believable, adds scale, so it looks and feels larger than it really is. But it's just when you break it down, this is two hexagonal pieces. This is a stretched out rectangle, and then this is a rectangle at a 90-degree from it, and they just put it together to create these struts on top of one large rectangle, as you can see here, and you get this really interesting shape. Okay. So in the first video we blocked out the basic shapes. Okay, cylinder for the cockpit, I'm sorry, sphere for the cockpit, cylinder, connecting it to the solar panels. Now I think the next place to start is we're going to add some of the mid-size detail to this solar panel. And the cool thing is this is something you learn to do in modeling, is if you can make something that has a lot of repetitive shapes, once you make it once, the power of the computer, you just hit duplicate or copy and paste, and you can just make a whole bunch of them, and all of a sudden you got something really cool that you just turned out really quickly. So we're going to add those mid-size shapes and details on this solar panel, and then once it's done, we'll combine them together, and then we'll duplicate it and drag it over, and we'll have the other side done too. So big time saver. It's one of the great things about digital that analog has a harder time reproducing. So let's get started. Back to the reference. So if we look at the solar panel, so it's basically, a flattened cube. Tapers at the top, and then we have these struts that are radiating out from the center hexagonal shape. So what we need to do is we need to create two hexagonal shapes, and then we're going to make one of these struts, and then we'll be able to duplicate them around, and we'll have this blocked out very quickly. And we'll add a little lip, little thickness to the edge of the solar panels, and then once that's done, we can copy and duplicate it, and then rotate it around and put it on this side, and then when that's done, we have it all the way we want. Then we can duplicate the whole thing and just slide it over, and we have a solar panel on the left side as well, and we saved ourselves a ton of time. So let's get started. Okay, so Tinkercad's Boolean modeler, and by the way, if you want to go to Tinkercad, if you haven't signed up already, tinkercad.com, 3D design, and they just want your email. That's basically it, and it's basically what we call a Boolean or a Boolean modeler. So what does that mean? Quickly, so a Boolean or Boolean modeler is basically you take a shape, right, like this cube that I dragged over, all right, so I drag over this cube, okay, and I can take this piece right here. This is what we call a cutter, and you know that because it's clear, you can see through it, and you just move it in to where you want to cut out a piece, right? And then you, using the shift key on your keyboard, you shift select so they're both selected, or you can just click and drag and it selects them both, and you go right over up here to your upper right, okay, and you go union, and it'll cut out a really cool little piece. And it doesn't have to be a cube. It can be a cylindrical shape. It could be a sphere. It could be combined. And you can use that to create more complicated shapes. All right, so let's get back to our TIE Fighter solar panel wing. So I am going to come down here to this polygon tool. I'm going to click and drag it, and I'm going to move it onto here, and you see how it flips over and it lines itself up to the plane of the TIE solar panel. And so what we're going to do is we are going to rotate this, right? Whoop, that didn't look good. Okay, so it's not quite rotating the way we want. This was a test that I did earlier. So, that's going to get in our way. Hold on one second, move that out of the way. This is basically what it'll look like, the final piece. But I want to show you how to make it. Oops. Control Z, your best friend. And I'm just using the arrow key on my keyboard, and I'm just gonna slide that over, and I'm gonna turn it over and then slide it over this way. Well, actually should probably, no, that's right, do it this way. Maybe move it down. There we go. Okay, so that won't get in our way. So this isn't lining up quite the way we want, so I just selected it, and if you hit the F key on your keyboard, it'll zoom right in. And so we want this perfectly aligned, so I am going to delete that. I'm going to do it again, except this time I'm going to drag it right on here, and see, it has a tendency, the CAD tool has it perfectly in alignment with the grid, and this is all lined up with the grid. So that makes a big difference, makes your life a lot easier. It helps things be more precise. All right, so I'm going to go here to the side and see this little curved arrow here. We're going to click on that, and we're going to rotate this around. And you see the little degree numbers there at the top. We want to go to 90 degrees. There you go. And we're going to go here to the right side panel. All right. And then we're going to use this arrow. We're going to just move this up. And I'm just going to make sure it's lined up perfectly with that little pointy piece on the solar panel, which it is. Great. And just to make so we can make it easier to see, I'm going to click on this color swatch. I'm going to go over here to this darker gray so it matches, and the contrast will help make it easier for us to see. So over here you've got your perspective cube. This makes it easier to switch to a perspective view. So see, everything's perfectly lined up, and we're going to use the arrow key, and I'm just going to bring this in like that. Okay, we just want it touching it. Then I'm going to select this little red dot, and I'm going to move this in like so. Okay. Excuse me, just getting over a cold. So it's a little big. We look at our reference. Yeah, could be a bit smaller. So going to switch to full screen mode. There we go. And so what we'll do is I'm going to select the corner, and I'm going to move in Oh, that's not quite what I wanted, so I'm going to do Control Z. There we go. Then I'm going to hold Shift and select the corner where the red dot is, and then I'm going to move in and see it scales it in a uniform manner so it keeps everything to the same proportions it was at the larger size. So let's see, how does that look? Yeah, it looks roughly right. Now I'm going to use the arrow key on the keyboard. Oop, it went the wrong way. Alright. Okay, let's do that again. So when you're going to move it up, you need to use the up arrow. Alright. I think that's right. Let me just get that lined up. That looks right. Oh, just a little bit higher. I think it'll snap into position. Use the arrow key. Oh, it's a little off. So you come down here to the bottom right and you're going to see settings and you're going to see snap grid. And right now it's at 1 millimeter per snap. So every time I move it, it moves. It's snapping 1 millimeter at a time. So looks like we need to move it down 0.25. So if you click on that, see 0.25 millimeters, you click that and you can, yep, there we go. And it lined it up perfectly. So then I'm going to go back and switch it back to 1 millimeter. And I'm going to go up here, use your arrow key on the keyboard, and I'm going to roughly put that in the center. Looks like it's a little off, but we'll fix that. Alright, so now we need to make a smaller one. So make sure it's selected, and you're going to go up here to the upper left side, and you're going to say duplicate. Right now it says duplicate and repeat. We don't want that. So I'm just going to go, let's see, is it going to keep doing that? Yep. So I'm going to click away from it, then reselect it. Oh, it wants to do duplicate and repeat. All right, let's see what happens. There we go. It only did it once. So I'm going to come here to the front alignment. And I'm going to use the arrow key and just move it out. Alright. Now we have to make it smaller and thinner. So let's move it out a little bit more. It's still overlapping, so I'm going to go back to the perspective cube, click front, use the arrow key. There we go. Now I'm going to go down here. I'm going to select the little red dot. Okay, and I'm going to hold the shift key on your keyboard and I'm going to move it in, and we're going to get a nice little uniform scale. Alright, there we go. Now we just need to center it. So we're going to move this up. Let's see, there we go. And then I'm going to use the arrow key to move it into the middle. Nope. It's probably not lined up perfectly in millimeters, 1 millimeter increments. So we can go down here again to settings. Oh, no, not settings, I'm sorry. Go down here to the 1.0 millimeter, click that, and then I think I'm going to go to 0.5 millimeters. There we go. Looks, let me click away. Yeah, it looks pretty perfectly aligned. Now we just want it touching the surface of the bigger one, so we'll go here to the perspective view and click it once, and there it moves it in. So there, we've got that part done. So next we're gonna do the inner, we're gonna do the lip. So let's look at our reference. So I'm gonna click over here. go right here to my reference. Okay, and so you can see there's a lip going around the edge of the solar panel. You can see it there, so it's thicker. It's almost like a tire rim. So we're gonna make that, and it looks like it's got two. It's got, if we look at this really close, see, yeah, it's got two. So this top part is thinner than this part. This is the widest part. So we're gonna make that next. Okay. All right, so let's select our solar panel like so, and we're going to duplicate it. So the first one we're going to duplicate, we're going to pull aside. So go right up here, click duplicate. Great. So now it's duplicated, and then we're going to move it forward, but we want to keep it perfectly aligned. So I click the front perspective cube, go down here to the arrow key on your keyboard, and slide it over like so. All right, then I'm going to do the same thing again, and I'm going to duplicate it. Okay, and I think we want it to be, I don't know, 0.5 or a millimeter. Let's see. All right, I'm going to select the red dot. I'm going to pull it out. Oh, nope, that's not what I wanted. All right, Control Z to undo it. So let's do it this way. So we're going to select the black dot in between. Okay, and then we're going to pull it out. Not selecting the shift key, just pull it out. Not sure how much I moved that, so I'm going to go Control Z. So first I think I'm going to just make it wider or thicker so we can see it better. All right. So let's do like 0.5. Yeah, we got it selected that way. So we'll pull it out this way, 0.5. Okay, and we'll do the same this way, 0.5. There we go. All right. Then we'll pull it out this way, 0.5. So it'll. There we go, and the same on this side. Oh, I don't think that was right. Oh, that's right. And we have to pull it up here. 0.5. Huh. Not quite what I wanted. Worked better the first time. Let's delete it and do it again. Yeah, sometimes you gotta experiment to try to get things to work properly. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna switch this to 1 millimeter. So it should pull it out. Okay. I'm going to do this one. Alright. I'm going to move it. So if you tilt down, see looking below, then this piece will pop up. And we want to pull this down so it's... Oh, it keeps wanting to move it to an even increment. Alright. Let's see how that works. We'll move this up. Yeah, I'm not liking how this is working, so let's do this again. Alright. Okay, I'm just gonna see if I can make this work. Selected them all. Alright. Go down. I don't think I duplicated it, so let me adjust going back. So if you need to go back like I did, you can go to Control Z on your keyboard, or you can go right here, undo, Control Z. Probably the most important button or group of buttons you can learn in any software. And that's universal, works in Microsoft Word, Photoshop, Maya, Blender, you name it. Control Z is like universal for the most part. All right, so let's select this again. I'm going to duplicate it. Okay. And we're gonna move it up. Huh. It is not doing what it's supposed to do. That is weird. Okay. Let me... Okay. So I'm gonna go over here to settings. Let's see. Metric, scale, Tinkercad, width, length. Show shadow, show grid. Yeah, scale's right. Okay. Huh. I am a little perplexed why it's doing this. So... Alright, so I'm just gonna try scaling it. Okay. Oh, does not like that either. Shift. Wow. That's really strange. I've never seen it do that before. Alright, Control and no. Control Z. I just want it to be exact. So, all right. Delete that again. Okay. Duplicate it. Move it up one. move it down. Yeah, that's right. Got to look at it from the bottom. Now move this out one. Oops. Try to get the center. Yep. There we go. And do the same with this one. And then I'm gonna make it thicker. Alright, so we'll go this way. And grab this one and this way. Okay. Just moving this out to see how it looks. Okay. Control Z. So I just turned it into a hole by clicking this clear circle here, and that allows me to see through it, and I can see that it's not lined up the way I want it to be. So I'm going to see if I can do it by eye again. I'm going to click this middle one. There we go. Alright, see if I can do the same here. Okay. Let's see, how does that look? Alright. That's it. Probably be a little thicker, so I'm going to move this out just a little bit. Might be too thick. So I'm going to use the alignment tool. There we go. I'm going to use the arrow key, and I'm just going to change the snap grid to 0.25, and there we go. All right. So we've got our lip. And I think the top could be moved just a little bit. You want it basically to be even all the way around. Let's see if that, yeah, that feels better. Okay. Okay, so now we want to do is select the one on the inside, which you can't because it's completely inside. So what we'll do is we'll go here to the front, use the arrow key, and we're just going to slide it over, and then select the one in the middle, and we just want to make it thicker because we're going to use this to cut out the center part. So we're just going to go here. Okay, and then we'll just move this piece back. Okay, and I'm just gonna select the center piece again that I just made thicker and just make sure it goes all the way through, and then we're gonna flip them. So we're going to make this the hole by clicking over here, click where hole is, Oh, there's another one in there. Wow, okay. Uh, and then we'll select the top one, and then we'll make that a color, and I'm going to make it gray. Okay, now we'll select them both by using the shift key. So this one's selected, we'll select the other one, and then we're going to go up here, and when we make it a group, it'll cut that out, and there we got a nice lip around our solar panel. Pretty cool, huh? Okay. Alright, now we need to make one more, and it needs to be a little thinner. So I'm gonna select it. Well, actually it is selected, so make sure it's still selected. And I'm gonna hit duplicate, right? And then we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna make it a little thicker, or wider. All right, just see what I'm doing down here, and let's do the same here. And do the same over here. We want it to be, yeah, pretty uniform. Looks like that could be pulled out a little bit more on the sides. Okay, do the same here. Okay. There we go. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Now we'll make this one thinner. So we're going to push it in. All right. So get that black dot right there. Like that. And do the same on the other side. Okay. And there you go. You've got yourself some TIE Fighter rims. And a lot cheaper than the rims you get on a car. Okay, cool. All right, so we got that done. So let's create the support struts on the side. So I'm going to select this and delete this. Just getting in our way. And so let's just look at our reference. And I'm going to go right here. And I'm going to go, yeah, you can see there. So they're like kind of flat planes with a skinnier plane in the middle protruding out, see? And it creates like, it's like a support strut. It's pretty simple. So we're going to make one of these, and then we'll duplicate it and rotate it around and adjust to fit. Okay. All right. So let's get back into modeling mode here. Okay. All right. So we are going to drag this plane out. Okay. Oh, do it again. And I'm going to drag it on here so it is touching the actual solar panel plane. See, nicely lined up. That works great. Then we're just going to scale it down on one side, scale it up on the other, right? And then we'll just make it a little longer. Okay, now we just get our alignment done. But first, let's make it thinner. So we'll just flatten this down like so. And just to make it match, we'll switch the color to gray. Okay. So that's not perfectly lined up. So let's use our perspective cube to get perfectly lined up. And I'm going to use the arrow key. Actually, do I have to use it? Let's see. Yep, it works. Great. There we go. It almost has it perfectly lined up. Looks like it's just a tad off, so we can go right down here to the snap grid and switch it to 0.1. And then we'll just one more tap. And there we go. It's perfectly lined up. Excellent. And it could probably be a little shorter. Great. All right. Then we're going to select it again. Okay. Duplicate it. All right. And then we're going to rotate it 90 degrees. There you go. Excellent. And make sure it's perfectly lined up with our view cube. Okay. And then we're going to make it thinner. So let's switch this to 0.25 for our snap. See if that okay. That's pretty good. I'm going to use the arrow key to kind of move it up a little bit. Oh, that didn't work. That's right, because it's you got to use the this right here, the top arrow. Okay, just need it to go just a little bit more. So we're going to go down to snap grid, 0.1 millimeter, and do the exact same thing. There we go. Oh, that's weird. It's not lined up there. So these probably aren't perfectly centered and aligned, which is fine. All right, so things great about Tinkercad, they got these great alignment tools. So let's use it to get these two lined up perfectly. All right, I'm going to select these two. Then I'm going to use right here, upper right, the align tool. And we want these to be aligned right here. Excellent. Then I'm going to click away from it. I'm going to select the thinner piece here. And we're going to move that one out a little bit. So I'll just move this here. Nope, that didn't work. Let's do that again. See if the arrow key. There we go. Okay. Probably move this one in more, but let's look at our reference. So I'm going to go back. Always want to be checking your reference. Sometimes you think something's a certain way. See? So yeah, so this piece ends before, and then this should be a little thicker. There's a slight taper to these struts. Okay. All right, so let's do that. So this piece, gotta line that up. Oh, it is cool. There we go. Just get it a little closer and you can make it a little thinner. Okay. And then Excuse me. Then this piece doesn't go all the way to the end, like so. All right, and then let's see, how does that look? Go back and look at the other reference. Okay. Alright, so this piece is actually pretty flat down. So's this. So I'm going to move this in. And I'm going to do the same with this piece. Seems to be just about flush, like so. Yeah. Okay. And then this piece. All right. Okay, so we want this one to go out to be as thick as this pentagonal piece. Okay. All right, so we'll shrink that down. And then I'm going to lengthen this. Okay. All right, and then we're going to just rotate it just a little bit. Okay. Whoa. Yeah. Let's see. I can get that. Nope. Do it again. Oh, no, that's not working. Let's move this in. There we go, that's better. Okay. All right. That works better. And I'm just going to line this up. And this piece up. We'll use the align button right here. There we go. All right. That's a little too thick, so I'm going to push that in just a little bit. There we go. That's better. Okay. All right, let's see if we can get this aligned. So I'm going to select this, shift select. Oops. Do that again. Nope, didn't want all those. So select this piece, shift select that piece, shift select that, and that. Okay, and see if we can get those aligned up a little better. Okay. And I'm just going to add these two pieces. Again, click on the align. Okay. Much better, much better. There we go. Okay. So let's shift. Let's select these two pieces. Okay. And what we can do is we can union group them like so. So now they're one piece. And then we can just duplicate them. So we'll just go duplicate. All right. And then I'm just going to move that duplicate over to the other side. Like so. Then I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees. There we go. I held the shift key down so it would snap to that. Oh wow, that's interesting. Isn't reaching all the way across there. So yeah, you can tell this isn't perfectly aligned. So we're going to do that again. So I'm just going to click and drag these pieces. Actually, I'm going to do all this stuff right here. There we go. And now I'm going to do the align tool again. So let's see, we'll do this. Oh wow, that messed that up, so let's undo that. Let's just do this. Oops. Undo. Control Z. Oh, it's not doing that. There we go. Alright. I'm gonna deselect, shift, click that and that. Now the align tool. Okay. Yeah, that's much better. Let's see. That looks good. Awesome. Okay. Got that. Great. Okay, so let's get these diagonal struts going. So I'm going to select this one. It's one piece now. I'm going to duplicate it. And I'm going to move it up. Like so. And then I'm going to stretch it out. So let's like that. I'm going to make sure it's lined up properly, and I'm going to rotate it there we go. Let's see how well that moves. Like so. I'm going to use the arrow key. Oh, that lined up nicely. Alright. Slide it down. There we go. Probably can down further. Yeah, that's works pretty good. We've got this extra piece in there. We can cut that out with a boolean later. A boolean. Okay. Now we're going to do the same here. I'm going to duplicate it and then just drag it down. So it should match the angle. So it's selected, duplicate, not quite, Control Z, select it again, duplicate it, and now we'll just I'm going to rotate it, let's see, 90 degrees, so shift 180 degrees, sorry. There we go. All right. I'll just use the arrow key and let's slide it over like so. Cool. Let's see, is that lining up pretty good? Probably could be a little lower. Oh, that's right, I have to use. There we go, and then I'll use the side arrow key. Okay. Cool. All right, let's do the same with the other side. So I'm going to select this one again. So we just want to rotate it. Won't be 90 degrees, probably be 45. Let's see. Duplicate it. Okay. And let's see, if you hold the shift key down, let's see if 45. I think that might be it. Now let's use the arrow key. Make sure it's selected. Let's see if that works. Wow, that worked pretty well. Awesome. We'll do the same here. Select it, duplicate it, all right, and then hold the shift key and rotate it this way 45 degrees. Awesome. And we just use the arrow key, slide it over. Awesome. Look at that. Very, very cool. I think we can clean up these pieces here. Yeah, let's get rid of that. Oh wow, that's sticking out there but not there. It's interesting. Oh yeah, look at that. It's a little further out. Let's see if we can push that in. Alright, I'm going to use 0.1. Yep, there we go. Huh, great. Do the same here. Use the arrow key to push it in. Okay. All right. So we can really quickly, to be able to cut this excess out, check this out. This is a cool little trick. So we'll select the center hexagon, right? You're going to go duplicate it. Then you're going to create a hole. So we turn it to a hole. Then we shift select all these, right? And then we go group, and look at that. Cut them out perfectly. Oh, that's not perfectly aligned. That's no bueno. Oh, I don't like that. I'm gonna fix that again. Let's see. Use the arrow key. Use the arrow key again. So I have it set at snap grid 0.1, so that's as small as it goes. Alright, that's a little... Trying to get it, there we go. Try to get it as aligned as on those little corners there. Okay, and then these pieces, they should be interconnecting there. So let's face, I'm gonna use the arrow key. Oh, that stinks. Look at that. Okay, so we can go Control Z. Control Z. There we go. And we'll just, you can just make this longer. It's just, you're just stretching out a couple of rectangular cubes. So I'm just gonna, so it buries itself inside there, and just make sure I'm aligned. There we go. And I'm going to do the same here, and just make sure they intersect. And then by doing that, again, I select the right one. Yep, I did. Control Z. Then select the other four, Shift, select them. All right. Then you go over here, you click Group, and it cuts them all perfectly. Look at that. Oh, I didn't have that selected. I mean, it's great. We can do Control Z, and we'll do it again. So I have that selected. So you could tell it's selected over here. See how it's got the highlight around the hole. So that tells you it's selected. And then we'll do Shift Select again. Shift Select, Shift Select, Shift Select, Shift Select, Shift Select. Up here, Group. There we go. And cuts all those pieces. There. Now we want to do the other side, right? So the best way to do it, this is the great thing about digital modeling, you can't do this in analog world, is we can select all these pieces. Oops, no, we don't want that. So select this hexagon, this piece, Shift Select, Shift Select. Oh yeah, that's right, those are all selected. So once I use them as a cutter, they're grouped together. So just to be sure, we can just do a quick little, use the arrow key. Yep, those are all selected. So I'm going to do Control Z to undo that. All right. And we go over here and go duplicate. So it just made a duplicate of that whole complicated strut section. Go to the top, and you can use your arrow key. First we'll just rotate it. So I'm going to hold the Shift key down so it does it in increments. There, 180 degrees. And then you can use the arrow key and just move it out like so. There we go. So now we did both sides. There. Blocked in the right side of the solar panel for the TIE fighter. Showed you how to boolean the shapes into more precise, complicated versions of the struts for the TIE fighter, and then we combined it. We did some cuts by combining and then duplicated it, and we're able to make the inside part. So I think this is a great time to come back, and we'll do this at the next live modeling session. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you all in the next live session. So thanks for watching, and see you soon.